Yep.
Yep.
And welcome back to Talkin Sports. The boys are back in town. Boys are back in town. Boys are back. We got some football signings, maybe more importantly, a football non-signing as our Keith McPherson wears the Dak Prescott 4 all over his jersey. We'll talk about that. We're going to jump around a little bit. We're going to do what we do on this show. We talk sports. There's going to be some bubble, a little Michael Beasley, as always. So let's just do it. Let's talk sports. Yeah. Welcome back to Talking Sports. There was a nice little Chris Berman TJ montage before we started the show. And I like that. I think we might actually just make that the open from now on. Just making the noises from that segment because it's all time. It's Hall of Fame. It literally is. I mentioned Keith McPherson. We are also joined, as always, by Bobby Skinner. Bobby Skins, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. It's a nice Wednesday night. I do think we need to just start recording as soon as we get on the line because I feel like we just wasted 10 minutes of good podcasting.
That was the real stuff, man. There was some 04 UConn talk per usual. I threw on UConn in the background. Keith, more importantly, man, I think the main topic of this episode might revolve around you. Only because you're covered
Michael
in
Beasley,
force.
our Nets guy.
Mostly Beasley.
Michael Beasley, in and out. No, we're talking about Dak, man. Hashtag pay Dak. Hashtag I'm with Dak.
So let's just fully dive. I mean, I love the pleasantries as always, but we're already in it. And Keith, as if we're not posting the clips for our podcast listeners, you have the 4 hat on, you have the 4 jersey on, you're dacked up. I'm calling you the Dak of all trades. You're fully team Dak. What's I don't want to say what am I missing because I think you saw just the other side of the argument I had this morning. I mentioned it a little bit on JJR. But we're full on team Dak. Just open it up, Jerry. Like, let's go.
Well, I've always been a big Dak fan, not just for, what he does on the field, but for what kind of guy he is. I think he's a mentally tough guy. I think he's a guy that exceeds expectations and consistently.
Bad fighter.
He got dropped, but that happens. You got to get dropped once in a while to know how to fight and know how to actually throw hands and get up. But, he was drunk. So here's a tip, kids. Don't get in any scuffles when you've had too many beers. But
only sober fights.
Hey, if you can fight when you're sober, that's probably going to give you a little bit of an advantage. But why are we talking about Dak getting rocked on the beach? That was 10 years ago.
That's because there's a Giants fan chiming in. That's why.
My thing with Dak, dude, is that he is betting on himself right now, and he's been betting on himself from the time that he came into the NFL draft and was a 4th-round draft pick, landed with the Dallas Cowboys, who had a 6-year, $100 million quarterback by the name of Tony Romo that everybody knew and loved, and no one thought that he was going to come in and win Rookie of the Year, win a bunch of games with the Dallas Cowboys, and take that job from Tony Romo. We got a Tony Romo press conference where Tony Romo stepped down because he knew Dak was the man. And I was pleased. I was so pleased. I said, man, we stole this guy in the 4th round. I saw him coming out of Mississippi State. And now here we are, fast forward 4 years. Throw your 4s up, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. And he's going to make $31.4 this year on the franchise tag. Jerry Jones had the chance to pay him early in the season last year after Zeke was in Cabo and forced his hand. We paid Zeke. We paid Amari Cooper. We paid Lyle Collins. We paid DeMarcus Lawrence. Who else did we pay? We paid a bunch of guys. We paid
Alvin Smith.
We paid so many guys except QB1. Porzingis got paid in Dallas. It's just like this, dude.
Dallas Buyers Club.
I look at it like this. I'm happy because I'm a Dak fan, and I think Dak is eventually going to win. But part of me is sad because I'm a Dallas fan, and I think Jerry Jones played this all wrong. And I kind of just wanted Jerry to work with Dak. We know about his mom passing when he was in college. We know that he lost his brother on the same night that we drafted CeeDee Lamb for him. And the guy has just had to consistently battle and, overcome things. And I wanted to see him get his payday now, but now we're going to play this interesting game. The Kirk Cousins model is before us. I think that Dak is going to play on the tag this year with a new head coach and potentially play next year or walk next year. and the Dallas Cowboys are going to be looking for another quarterback when you got the guy. Dak is 26 years old. People want to talk about, oh, he doesn't want to take a 5-year contract. No, he doesn't want to take a 5-year contract because he can play the next 4 years, test the market again at age 30. When the value for quarterbacks in this league goes up every single year, Mahomes is valued at now $500 million. What do you think Dak is thinking? Dak's thinking, hey, man, I want to test the market again when I'm 30, 31, and I want to see if I can get $40 million to $45 million versus the 33 to 35 million that you're trying to lock me into for 5 years.
I have a question. Dan Orlovsky made a good point this morning that, like, we kind of have the same – now Cousins isn't on Dak's Kirk isn't on Dak's level, but at the beginning it was like, why, like they'll tag him and then, play on the tag this year and sign him. But he made the point, like, you know what, the Redskins really never planned to sign him long term, and you really never see the QB get to the franchise tag.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you think there's a chance that Jerry is playing this where, hey, like in a year, maybe 2 years, play on the tag again, and might let Dak walk? Do you think there's any chance Dak is not a Cowboy in 2 years?
I think, of course, there's more of a chance now than there was in the past. I think that Jerry Jones is also leaning on the fact that this is now the Mike McCarthy era. Let's see how Mike McCarthy and Dak work. Let's see how Dak looks in his system. Dak had his best statistical year ever last year, but that was Jason Garrett's last year. And a lot of people are saying that McCarthy might not be beating the table for Dak, which I don't think he is either. He's got to see what he's working with. We're coming from McCarthy being paired with Aaron Rodgers, and that didn't work out, right? So I think there is a good chance that Dak ends up on another team in a year, maybe 2. And I think Jerry Jones he found himself in a situation like I said, Zeke forced his hand being in Cabo last year. He paid Zeke. Zeke didn't have a year you would expect after a guy gets 90-plus mil. And then he had to pay Amari Cooper after giving up the first-round draft pick to get him. Gave him $100 million, signed Jalen Smith, signed Lyle Collins, DeMarcus Ware. I said everyone got paid before QB1, and that's a mistake. And when we're talking about the franchise tag, when you see the quarterbacks get tagged like this, think about Cousins, right? Cousins was drafted in the same year they drafted RG3. They didn't plan for him to be what he was. Dak wasn't the plan was not to draft Dak and have him take over his rookie year for Romo, but hey, sometimes you hit, sometimes you get lucky. Now, fast forward to you having to pay him. It's unfortunate because he got drafted with guys like Jared Goff, who got paid, Carson Wentz, who got paid, and they got paid before their rookie deal was up. The Cowboys didn't figure out how to pay him before his rookie deal. They paid everybody else. He's going to play on the tag this year, possibly play on the tag next year, and then go make your money elsewhere, Dak. I won't be mad at you. I won't burn your jersey. I promise.
I'm a big jersey burning guy. Dak, man, I flip-flop on him on a real, because there's times, like you said, like he had an awesome statistical year last year, one of like the best QBs just stat-wise. But then you look at like last year versus non-playoff teams, he was 7-2, 22 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And then versus playoff teams, he was 1-6, 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And, like you guys have a ton of talent. Like you guys have a Super Bowl roster. You have, a arguably top 2, top 3 offensive line in the NFL. You got Zeke. You have good wide receivers around. You had guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, Byron Jones. I think you have the best linebacker core in the NFL with
Byron Jones
Jalen
is gone
Smith
because we
Van
couldn't
Der
pay
Esch.
him. We couldn't afford to pay Byron
But I'm
Jones.
saying last year, and then you end up at 8-8. I think Jerry's having like some like chances of. There's a chance Jerry's like, I don't want to pay this guy long term. I need to see it before I do it.
It sucks, dude, because it goes back to the conversation of these guys don't believe in Dak, and people saying Dak isn't like. And now it even gets racial because you got guys like Shannon Sharp talking about the black quarterback and how the black quarterback is perceived or whatever. And if Dak was Matt Ryan, if Dak was Matt Stafford, like he gets paid. And then, like I said, when you look at his class, he came in with Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. Those guys got paid early, and they got paid a lot. Dak doesn't get that. Dak doesn't deserve that. I think he's got to go out again and prove the world wrong, and I really think he will. I think this whole coaching staff coming in with McCarthy is going to set a way different tone in Jerry world than clapping Jason Garrett ever said. So I think it's all right in front of Dak. I think the team loves him. We know, Zeke loves him. He's got a good rapport with this team. He's the leader of this team. And I really hope we get this NFL season in so we can see what happens.
Yeah.
Here's my thing, and I think it was funny because me and Jimmy talked about this, and Jimmy's a little disconnected from football and stopped
No way.
referencing Jimmy
He's a
G.
big NFL guy. He
But
does
we
breakdowns of NFL every day.
so we were talking about Dak today, and Jimmy was like, because Mahomes got the big contract and Dak's been talking big money. So Jimmy was like, you know what? Let me check out the stats. And up until last year, you can make an argument. I mean, Dak's numbers were nice, but it is a good team. And, I think if you can be a somewhat conservative NFL quarterback and, 22 touchdowns isn't what it used to be. Like, there was still an argument. What Dak did last year, I mean, are the numbers you want to see from a quarterback. Like, and that's where, there is race stuff. I'm not going to go there for now, but I think it's interesting, the TV contract stuff that we've talked about a little bit. Dak's trying to time that, right, to get his money up. And I think it is interesting, all the money they have doled out elsewhere. And you wonder if we do start seeing coaches going a little more plug and play. I mean, Cam Newton was a free agent. Andy Dalton was a free agent. These are guys that can win games. And I think everything football-wise, you can figure it out. I think there's a lot of coaches out there that could figure out how to play with Dak Prescott. He can pass. He can pick up that third with his feet if he needs to. Dak has proven what he can do on the field, and it's kind of funny. He fits that QB mold we've talked about a little bit. Like, didn't go to the biggest school, kind of had to do it on his own, and then he goes to the NFL, and the playing field almost flattens out a little bit. But my thing is with the Dallas Cowboys, how about them Cowboys? Jerry's Cowboys. There's a couple positions in sports that are special. Shortstop for the Yankees, quarterback for the Cowboys. When I don't feel like Dak has as much leverage as being depicted, because there is this old, like, hey, the quarterback stays. Like, if you got a quarterback, you hold on to him with your dear life. We've seen that change in past years with, it kind of started with Kirk Cousins, which, again, how's that worked out for Minnesota? And now we're starting to see that happen a little more. But isn't it worth more to Dak to be with the Cowboys and know that he's got that talent around him and to get paid and have the sponsorship deals so that Dak next year doesn't go to Jacksonville and then he falls off the face of the earth?
Absolutely. Who would not want to be the quarterback? And you look out and you got CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup to your right, Amari Cooper to your left. Behind you is Ezekiel Elliott. In front of you is Pro Bowlers across the line. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's in a great situation, and a lot of people are going to say maybe he wouldn't be that good without that much talent around him. And then when we talk about the sponsorship deals, he's got a Dan and Yogurt deal. He's got a Sleep Number deal. He's got a Chunky Soup deal. You get that because you're in that white and blue jersey. But at the same time, Dak wins. He's won 40 games in his first 40 years. He's won 40 games in his first 4 years in the NFL. He's also a machine. He's healthy. He doesn't get like broken down. He doesn't miss games from being hurt. Like, the dude is solid. Like, he's a big dude. He can run the ball, pick up the third down. When we get in the red zone, you got to watch out. He's going to run the ball in. Like, that's a threat. And the way that this NFL is now going, where you need a mobile quarterback, you need a guy that can move the sticks on third down, you need a guy that can pick it up with his legs. Like, Dak is going to fit in this NFL for the next few years to come. I think he knows that, and I think he knows that there's a lot of other teams out there that he would look great on. I mean, I would rather have him than Jimmy Garoppolo. If you plug him on the Niners, they're a problem.
Yeah, I would rather have him than Garoppolo too.
Yeah.
I could honestly keep going. There's not that many teams that wouldn't take him as their quarterback and swap right now. Even like, I don't know, we'll see how like good like Kyler Murray is. I still think he's a run. I mean, I think he's going to be great, but like Dak, you plug Dak in with D-Hop, with Fitz, like he's ready to go. There's a bunch of other teams that I could list, but what I'm saying is we'll never really know because we've never seen him with any other team. It's a sad day for Cowboys fans. Dak's brother, I sent you guys Dak's brother's tweeting out. Come on.
Yeah, what was that? That didn't make any sense. That like I wasn't a Cowboys fan before, and there's a reason why.
And he
like,
kind of
maybe it was the reason why that you were just a fan of another team.
Right.
Like, did you have a personal
I guess,
issue
like,
with Jerry Jones before?
because growing up, people said that Dak was a Cowboys fan, and I think his mom was a Cowboys fan. And Tad Prescott, Dak's brother, said, "There's a reason I was never a Yeah,
And Dak.
he's got two brothers. You've seen him in the Chunky Soup commercial. Rest in peace to his older brother, who also was a football player, no longer with us. But Tad said, there's a reason I was never a Dallas Cowboys fan growing up before they drafted Dak. After today, who knows how much longer I'll be cheering for them. Who knows? He's probably a Giants fan or something. Nah, maybe an Eagles fan.
I don't get why, but that is, I don't understand. I want to know why he wasn't a fan before. I get why he's not a fan now.
I mean, same way people hate the Yankees, people hate the Cowboys. And I don't know, man. That's not good. The closest person that he has, not having his mother around, not having his older brother around. I think Tad is his older brother, but closer in age to him. If that's what your older brother is putting out on July 15th, that means your conversations.
That makes me think that it could be a Kirk Cousins situation.
That means your conversations aren't good. And we already knew in Cowboy land and Jerry world that the relationship between Jerry Jones, Dak, and his agent is not good. And Dak has come out to say, listen, this is my team. Like, he hasn't spoken to it, but it's known that he's a team first guy. He's a locker room guy. He ain't the owner's player. He's not playing for Jerry Jones. Sometimes guys come in and they're playing for Jerry Jones. No, Dak is coming in and leading the Dallas Cowboys. He's for the team.
So how does this end? Like, not to be too sports radio or hot takey, but like general just dipping the toe in the water. Like, I don't know. In my head, it just seems like Dak should be with the Cowboys and the Cowboys should stay with Dak.
I think he ends up going, dude. I hate to say it, but like, he's going to play
in Tampa.
Exactly. If you put like, there's another team. Like, I'd much rather have Dak on the Tampa Bay Bucks. If I'm the Bucks fan, give me Dak. Don't give me clunky old Tom.
You're a big time Brady hater.
I am a Brady hater. My girl's a Patriots fan. I've had to watch more of their games than I really would ever have on my own. But listen, I think it goes down like this. We see him play on the tag in 2020 in this like weird coronavirus season we're going to get. Depending on how he does this year, like, there's going to be a bar set. Like, I have the Cowboys going 10-6. We have a tough schedule. We even got to face Lamar Jackson late in Baltimore. I don't think we win that game. You know, there's going to be a game in the NFC East where, like, the Eagles beat us. There's going to be other games where we get tripped up. Last year, I watched us lose to the Bears, the Jets. So, like, if that team could lose last year to teams like that, there's a chance we're going to stumble along the way. But what I'm saying is the bar is going to be set this year. And if he plays on the tag and he underperforms, like, they're going to let him walk. And they're going to try and figure something else out in free agency. There's guys like Cam Newton that might be one and done. There's guys like Jameis Winston that might be one and done. There's a guy on our team named Andy Dalton that a lot of people are saying.
And he missed.
They're saying Andy Dalton with all of these weapons. Andy Dalton played on the Bengals, and he didn't have much of anything around him. A.J. Green wasn't always healthy. He had a different cast of running backs through his years. You give Andy Dalton all these weapons, tell him to just drop back and distribute the pill. They're saying he could do it. So I don't know. I think it's a 1 year thing, and Dak's going to bet on himself. And the Cowboys would love for Dak to ball out. They would love for him to take us to the NFC Championship, maybe even a Super Bowl, and then they pay him. But if he comes short of that, if he doesn't, win a division, win a playoff game, they're going to think about making other moves. And it might just be a move where Andy Dalton becomes a guy for a year, maybe two. We'll see the dynamic between McCarthy and Dak and what this offense looks like in a few months. Fingers crossed.
Wow. Dallas deep dive. Jameis, man. That's man.
Think about Jameis, dude.
That could get
how quick it comes and goes. I had in my discussion I had right before I got on this pod, I was like, do you guys realize some of these old regime quarterbacks are on their way out? Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees. Those are open seats coming soon. Guys like Jameis go from being Heisman Trophy winning, #1 overall draft picks to now you're backing somebody up. The quarterbacks are going to keep shuffling in this league. Dak is going to be a starter in this league for years to come. If the Cowboys don't do right by him, somebody else is going to give him the bag. We see it all the time. We see it every year.
Jameis and Jerry Jones is a match made in heaven. I'm now rooting for that. I'm now rooting for Jameis to have his 4 good games this year and now go to the Cowboys. So, okay, that's good. I needed to know where I landed on the topic in general. I don't know, boys. There's a little more NFL news just kind of around it. There was a couple contracts. I think the biggest one, there's a couple defensive guys. Chris Jones, who's actually a huge part of that Chiefs team and one of the probably most underrated players in the league. Myles Garrett gets $100 million on the contract. But I think the most important one, and this segues off of something we stumbled into last week, the Titans lock up Derrick Henry. And that's another one of those things that's like good for both sides because he was their offense.
Yeah, it's a good deal. Essentially, I think, is a 2-year deal because it's $25 million guaranteed. It's like $4 million a year less than McCaffrey. I'm not anti-running back like a lot of football heads are, but Henry is the one guy where it's like I don't know if I would guarantee him because he just plays a very bruising style and that can fade out quick. But I think this is a good deal for him. And the Titans, listen. Am I a big believer in Tannehill? No, but he obviously was better than Mariota and unlocked some things with that team. I mean, I think it's kind of a win-win all around, especially if it's a 2-year deal.
Yeah, Henry's a guy that burned me in fantasy a couple years where I just thought he wasn't shit. And then last year I didn't put him on any of my fantasy teams, didn't draft him, didn't trade for him, and he goes off. And I was talking about Tannehill. I was like, I couldn't believe they gave Tannehill the money after 1 year. If you're going to give a guy the money after one good year, give it to Henry, who's been there. He's a beast. And I think those workout videos they've been seeing of him, I saw a workout video with him. He was using equipment I've never seen. He was doing movements I've never seen. I'm like, this dude is a freak. Tennessee saw those workout videos and they're like, yeah, we gotta pay him. We need this guy mentally to be right. We need to lock him up. If we're going to do this with Tannehill, Tannehill is only going to go as Henry goes. Tannehill is only going to be able to operate if Henry is out there running people over, breaking long runs, stiff-arming people like Earl Thomas and turning them around. Like, I feel a little bit more confident now in Tannehill having a better year because I just think Henry having his money, they're going to go in there as a tandem like, hey, we both got paid. Let's get it.
Yeah, and you guys nailed that. I don't know if you guys saw me open up my eyes. A lot of football contracts are kind of fugazi or, there's a lot of money that can be cut off at the end of the contract, things like that. I decided to click Myles Garrett's $100 million contract because I was like, let's see what this actually looks like for Myles. $50 million guaranteed at signing.
Yeah, and it's 125, right? 5 years, 125.
The most guaranteed money to a defensive player ever. And don't get me wrong, I know Myles Garrett is good, and I know things ended really sourly because he got suspended with Mason Rudolph. But I'm a little shocked. Are we going to look back and be like, yo, Browns being Browns, or do I just need to get back to basics and this guy's a stud and they paid him?
No, he's good. He's worth it.
Yeah, he's a freak. He's worth it. And I hate how that whole situation went with him and Mason Rudolph, and we'll never really know what happened or what didn't happen. I want to see him.
He bashed him with the helmet. We do know that.
Yeah, that was wild, barbaric. But I want to see this guy actually come into his own and play. And now that he's got that money, there's no excuses. And that Cleveland Browns team,
Cleveland might be good this year.
They've got a lot of talent, and
I think they're going to run the ball. I think they're going to play. I mean, they got the Vikings OC. They got Conklin, the offensive lineman from Tennessee, and they drafted Wills. I think they're going to run the ball, and I think it's actually I think Baker will actually have a good year because I don't think they're going to ask him to do much. I actually think the Browns, with all the hype they had last year, I think they might be good because I don't think they're going to really rely on Baker a ton.
And similar to the Cowboys, these teams with all this talent, they need the right head coach and coaching staff. Freddie Kitchens was never the guy. They made Freddie Kitchens the guy because Baker Mayfield liked him. Like, his rapport with he has
horrible judgment.
After his first year, after Baker's first year, that was foolish. I think you get the right coaching, you get the right leadership, and these teams, they mimic management, they mimic the coaching style and the mantra of these guys, and they have a lot to prove. They've got talent, they've got running backs, they've got receivers. That defense can be something if they put it all together. I think they can compete. I mean, that even in that division, the Bengals aren't going to be anything. The Steelers are going to be all right. It's just between it's just between the Browns and the Ravens. And then in the AFC is really just between the Ravens and the Chiefs. Maybe the Patriots and we talked about Cam, but they got a tough schedule. And I don't know exactly how Cam and Belichick are going to mesh, but we'll see. I'm getting pumped for football after hearing all this today.
If all we get out of Cam and Belichick is maybe Belichick in one of Cam's hats or something, I think that'd be a win. Net. If we can get Belichick rocking some Cam swag.
They posted Belichick with the glizzy.
The glizzy gladiator.
Glizzy. Did you the
glizzy gobbler.
This is kind of a deep cut. Do you guys remember there was a rant when Randy Moss was on the Patriots? They threw a Halloween party and they invited
Yeah.
Belichick.
Yeah.
They were doing that. That clip gets me every time. Belichick rolling through. BDB, Big Dick Belichick. Boys, I think we'll hit this one quick because unfortunately baseball is a quick topic. But Puig signed, which is huge for baseball.
The wild horse.
If you love him or you hate him, if he makes you feel anyway, that's kind of good for the sport of baseball.
It's great for
He's
baseball,
on a good
dude.
team too. So
I think on Talking Baseball, I think you guys were saying how, you know, if Puig wasn't Puig and he was just another random player, like he would have already been signed. Like when you look at his tools and you look what he brings, like I'm surprised it took this long. But first we heard the Orioles were going to get him, and I'm like, that's a fucking waste. Like, please don't go to the Orioles and just like lose. And then we just see Puig out in right field as they're getting smoked 10-0. But with the Braves, like, hold on now. The Yankees got to play the Braves. I like the Braves. Like, they're going to be competitive, and Puig adds a little bit more juice. And, like, him, Acuna, Ozzy, like, some of these guys with that extra little bit of swag, like, they're going to be fun to watch. I'm rooting for Puig.
I can do some fun stuff, and I'll tweet it out one of these days. But Puig's numbers are really good. Like, he came up and he went nuts, and that's when everyone learned who he was. Young guy from Cuba going crazy. And he came down from there, which is a classic. If you come in too hot and then your game comes below there, people always just think you underachieve, which maybe he is. Maybe that's just the ball player he was, and he came up and he was hot. But, man, his numbers are better than a lot of MLB guys you know. And, dude, it does send you down this wormhole of, like, you know, some of the Latin players get treated unfair in MLB, and it's a little jacked up. And I was surprised when I got in the numbers how good Puig is, because the Braves paid almost $20 million for Marcell Ozuna this offseason, and Puig's got him beat almost in every statistical category. Again, not really a race thing. They're both Latin guys. But Puig has kind of a weird thing with him because he wags his tongue out. And it's like baseball.
He licks his bat. Yeah. It's so with Puig, dude, I was fortunate enough to meet Puig in 2014. And one of my buddies that was in the fan cave with me stayed in touch with him. Puig is a big kid, and he's got a lot of personality, but there's also a language barrier there. And when I met him, he was so energetic. He wanted to dance with us. He wanted to play MLB The Show. He didn't want to do any of the like interviews and the stuff that they wanted the rest of the players. So like he lives in his own world, but you also have to think about this guy defecting from Cuba and coming over here on a boat. He's living in a dream. He's living in a different world. And when he bounced from where'd he go? He went to Cleveland. He went to Cincinnati, and now he was unsigned for a while. I think it was just this weird like stigmatism or this weird reputation that got put around him. Like, oh, no, you don't want that guy. And baseball is this like buttoned up, unwritten rules type of you know how organizations are. I don't have to tell you, Jake. And a lot of teams are going to stay away from a personality like Puig. I'm very happy to see that, you know, chop on. The Atlanta Braves are like, we could use a guy like that. Markakis isn't going to play. You know, we could use a guy like that. And we already have a guy that's kind of like that, right? We've seen them get at Acuna for not running it out or for hot dogging a little bit. But you know what? When those guys are locked on, they're worth every single bit of everything. Like I can overlook some of that stuff because they're like I said, they're big kids. They play the game hard. They love the game, and what they can bring to your team, you can't put a value on. It sucks that like guys like you said, like Ozuna, he has better numbers in him, but that's because like Ozuna's a quiet, stoic guy. You know, it's easier for him to be managed. It's easier for him to, you know, not, I guess, like upset the fan base. I even saw a lot of stuff on Twitter with the mansplain baseball chicks and, you know, they're Braves fans. And I was seeing some of their stuff. People are ridiculous. Their critiques of Puig without him even showing up to camp yet. And some of the things I was reading on Twitter about Puig. These people are going to love Puig as soon as they see him out there. And I bet you he learned. And I bet you he's humbled and he's a little bit more mature after going through this, you know, offseason not being signed and the pandemic. I'm rooting for 6-6, Route 66.
Like that. Root for Puig. He's fun for baseball. And I think now we cut live to the bubble with our correspondent who's in there with his Nets, Bobby Skinner. Bobby, we had some problems. It looked like your guy, Young Beasley, didn't get let in. There's rumors about the Rockets. What do you have on the beat?
I feel bad. Did you see the girl who tweeted out that she already had been invited into the bubble?
Ugly
Yes.
Anna.
Yeah, that was me. I'm really sad about that, guys.
Yeah.
Trying to make it not happen. Michael Beasley may have been involved. Sorry,
Yeah.
Mike.
What about your Postmates order? You get Seamless or
No,
Uber
I'm not
Eats
that
delivered?
dumb. You got to take chances on things that are worth it, and the food
Yeah.
in there is great. But no, with Beasley, I mean, it was gonna be fun, but it's also as a Nets fan, it's not like, oh man, no Michael Beasley. There's a good chance he didn't even crack the 8-man rotation. So I was more excited to watch Jamal Crawford than I was Michael Beasley, anyways.
Yeah, with Bees, it was just I heard you guys talking about it today, and I was like, Knicks fans. Bees is the walking meme. He's actually the gif of.
Do Knicks fans claim Beasley? I don't feel like you guys should be allowed to
No, they
claim
were
Beasley.
laughing at him. No, they don't
I
claim
want
him.
all the Beasley.
The Knicks fans Knicks fans get every washed up guy for 1 year, and they're like, "Yep, Knicks players." It's not a Knicks player. Steve Francis.
Baron Davis.
Baron Davis, Steve Francis. That doesn't mean they're Knicks. Michael Beasley's the Miami Heat and Minnesota for a couple of years. He's a Heat player.
The thing about Bees, I said he's like the old the grandfather from The Simpsons gif, where he walks in, hangs his hat up, takes his hat off, walks back out of the door. Bees is out just as fast as he came in. And the thing about Bees is that he would have had to serve a 5-game suspension anyway. Yeah. So it's just all right, man, just don't even bother. We tried. KD tried to get you on the Nets. The Nets, we tried to get you on the team and give you a look, but it wasn't meant to be, dude. Just sit this one out. I'm gonna get conspiracy theory with the Nets. Are they are staffers injecting the players with coronavirus? Did you ask that on your Talking Nets interview, Keith? No, but what I do think is
you should have.
I don't think anyone's injecting anyone with the coronavirus.
You never know if you don't ask questions.
What I do think is that this is all right. So look at Westbrook and Harden. They didn't show up. They missed practice on Saturday. They didn't show up, or Westbrook didn't show up. Harden shows up. He's got his hat, glasses, mask. He's all covered up, bringing his bag in. And I think it's a type of thing where we don't know. There's HIPAA laws, and we don't know if these tests are all accurate. Some guys have it, and they're asymptomatic. Some guys have it, and they have symptoms. Guys are quarantined. It's just anyone can have this thing, and I think they're playing with it in a certain way. How in Major League Baseball, they play with the IL. All right, we're going to move this guy to the 60-day IL to do this. Right now, I think this coronavirus thing, some guys have it, some guys don't. Some guys are using it as a reason to opt out. Some guys are using it as a reason to not go. Some guys want back in. I heard today, Victor Oladipo wants in now. He's getting FOMO after watching everybody's Instagram stories. I thought you didn't want to go. Now you want to be where, I don't know, the whole NBA fraternity is. But I just hope that it doesn't get canceled. I hope that there's not enough positive tests where it starts if LeBron gets COVID-19, if AD gets Kawhi, Giannis, then we're looking at a whole different thing here.
And it's was cracking me up. I mean, the image of Michael Beasley showing up to camp, showing up to Disney, all right, I'm about to put the Nets on my back. It's game time. Beasley show, takes the COVID test positive, and then he just chucks up the deuces. All right, it was good. Good.
I mean, I hate walking up to a store I get aggravated walking up to a store that's closed. I don't understand. That would be on another level of aggravation for Bees.
Yeah, we just saw the videos of him hooping against regular dudes, and he's kind of swagging and beating his chest and thinking he's on his way back. And we're in a different year. We are playing sports in a pandemic, so it's hey, you might be ready to go, but let us take your temperature and put this thing up your nose before you step in.
And then I think the only other thing that I really have on the bubble is just the Rocket situation, man. So funny that Russ with COVID, that's not funny. Get better, Russ, etc. COVID. Don't have to say that. But you do. But I think it's so funny, the Rockets that get killed for, they run everything through Harden, or when Harden's off, they run everything through Russ. The fact that those guys haven't reported yet, what's a Rockets practice like without those two guys?
Ben
who gets the
McLemore
shots?
and Austin Rivers playing Russell Westbrook and Harden.
Green.
Oh my God! That has to be
And
so
Ariz is not
ugly.
there. Oh no, Ariz is not with the
with
Rockets. Was he on the Rockets?
No, you're thinking of Rocco.
Ariz is with the Wizards and opted out, right?
I don't know where
Used to
he is,
be.
but he ain't playing.
Justice Winslow. Who else is on the Rockets?
Justin Winslow's
team?
on the Grizzlies.
I'm getting all crossed
Should
up.
we play the game? What team you guys this team play for?
What's it?
I'm getting all
Dude,
crossed up.
I got crossed up at the end of the year. We were doing something for Talkin Knicks, and we were looking at Jabari Parker. I had no idea where he had landed. I was 3 teams behind on Jabari, and then there was someone else who Willie Cauley-Stein.
Cauley-Stein.
Do you
Is he
guys
still
know
with
where?
Dallas?
Do you guys know where Willie Cauley-Stein is?
Is he
I
still with
think
Dallas?
he's with Dallas.
I have to double check because he is on the Mavericks. Yes.
What was nice about I remember every year in the playoffs, they'd be like, "Oh, Joe Johnson's on the Jazz." I didn't know that. Once he left the Nets.
It's tough because we only got half a season of watching the NBA, and if you watch just your team, like I pretty much just watch my team in the big matchups. These guys get traded, they move around, and they pop up somewhere else. Now they're in Orlando, and it's like,
well, that's the thing. It was after the trade deadline too, so I knew Willie Cauley-Stein was on Golden State. I was like, okay, maybe that's fun. He can learn from Draymond and become that special defensive player he's supposed to be. So then I saw he was on Dallas. I was like, Dallas, Willie Cauley-Stein, what? And then, Jabari Parker. I was just, Keith's guy. Go Blue Devils. Shout out to Sheldon Williams. But, he went Chicago to Washington to Atlanta to Sacto in the past 2 years. And I had missed about 3 of those stops.
He was a Chicago legend.
He just keeps signing. He's just everyone's like, hey, we got to fill up some cap space, 1-year deal, guy.
Is that the dream?
I mean, he's a big. I don't know.
Does he have the best job in the world? Go out, get buckets,
chilling.
And get a 1-year, $20 million deal every year?
He's chilling. He's a legend. Simeon High School in Chicago. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. But what was I going to say? With the Rockets, and we were talking about the Mavericks, the Rockets, I think, are 6 right now. The Mavericks are 7. I don't know what they're going to do in this bubble, but most likely the Mavericks beat them in these first 8 games. I think they play them twice or at least once. And I've been talking this. I think the Mavericks jump them to take the 6th seed. The Rockets end up playing Kawhi and the Clippers and get bounced, and then the Rockets are out. So
and Russell Westbrook just continues to go out in the first round.
Right. And I think Russ and Harden know that. They know that is their fate ultimately. And I seen Austin Rivers do an Instagram live where he was talking about Russ and Harden aren't even here, and look at where they keep our shoes. And they had Jordan Brand and Adidas had, let's say, about 20 feet of space each for Russ and Harden, and then they had maybe 10 feet of space for the rest of the team's shoes.
I like it. Let them know.
Man,
these shoes are special because they carry this team.
I think Russ and Harden, 2 guys that have been, for how good they are on the basketball pantheon. I'll be honest, for a while I did not like how Russ plays, and there's times when it's
too
still
much hate.
But it went too far. I came back on it, and I actually loved when he got paired with Harden because it was perfect. Let Russ go when you rest Harden, but I like Russ coming off the ball. Use that speed, go nuts. He still gets the rock in his hand a ton. Both of these guys are all time. I know Harden is ugly at times, but what he's doing right now is insane. And I don't know, I realize that is the other side of the coin, that they just mail it in whenever they get to the bubble, they tap out and they take their loss. But I think these guys care too much about their reputation, man.
Yeah.
For them to go
in the first round.
To go in to punt some games, to lose to Kawhi round 1, Russ can't be losing round 1 anymore.
Yeah. Russ has been really killing it since they went to the small ball. I'll just kind of read off some points.
Yeah.
27,
nuts.
24, 29, 24, 41, 33, 34, 21, 36, 39, 40. He has been killing it in this small ball thing. I know that, they went on when they went to it, they went 7-0. They lost 4 out of their last 5 before. But yeah, Russ gets a little too much disrespect. If they lose to the Clippers, like I'm not going to be like these Rockets can't figure it out. But if they use to the 3 seed, who would be Denver? Yeah, Denver. I would expect them to beat Denver because I don't really believe in Denver a ton either after their series. After they went 7 games with a bad Spurs team and then lost to the Blazers, who weren't that good in a 7-game series last year, I would pick the Rockets over them.
So the Rockets would have to hold on to that 6th seed. And I don't know how long Harden and Westbrook have to quarantine, but they're going to miss practice time. And I know that, like, both of those guys have styles that have innovated the game, have quote unquote changed the game. They both do things that we've never seen. I know that they can just go out there and hoop. We saw in the pandemic stay-at-home orders, these guys grinding. They were working out. Harden looked slim. We saw Westbrook getting after it. But if they don't come out ready to play and they don't come out and win in these 8 games and they slip, like, they do not want to meet the Clippers first round, because no way they might get swept. They probably do get swept. They lost to the Nets earlier in the year before they switched. And I was like, this shit ain't never going to work with Harden and Westbrook. But I love both of them. I literally enjoy watching both of them play and their styles. They're superstars. The NBA needs them there. The NBA needs them to play well. But I just don't see them being successful under the current circumstances. It's July 15th. Like, scrimmages starting a week from today.
I'm going other way. I think Harden is just a lifetime baller. Like, James is going to do his thing. He's going to dribble between his legs, take the awkward step, pull a shot. James Harden is going to do that all year, and I'm sure he's still getting shots up. Russ is like one of the athletic freaks to ever play this game. It's not like he's going to be out of shape. I'm in on the ride. I think I'm going the other way. I say they hit the ground running. You might see them in the 4 or the 5.
Can they do it in the ballroom?
I like them. I just know they can't beat the Lakers or the Clippers.
No. You have to dodge those teams in the West as long as possible.
Do you think Rondo being out 6-8 makes a difference for the Lakers? Because I wanted to, and then I looked at the standings, and they would have either the first round they're fine. Second round would be Jazz Thunder, and he could even be back by then. He'd be back by the conference finals if that timeline's right. The semifinals would be Jazz Thunder. As much as it'd be like, can the Lakers win without Avery Bradley or Rondo and Caruso point guard? Looking at it, I think they're going to be fine.
Help is on the way. Mario Chalmers has been sending tweets. He wants to come join
the Bronx. That is not help.
I'm kidding.
Young Chalmers.
They'd be better off with Chioza
Big Shot Chalmers
or Larkin or somebody.
Man, so who's out? Because, I mean, Rondo's out. He could pick up in the playoffs at some point. Avery Bradley tapped out, but is J.R. Smith's actually in? Like, that's reported.
Deion Waiters in.
In Waiters?
Danny Green in. Dwight Howard in. Caruso in. Obviously,
as long as they got Bron
in.
If they have Bron, 80, and some warm bodies, like, they'll
KCP
be there.
in.
I'm a KCP hater. I don't really know why, but I just am. He got every opportunity. He got every opportunity on Detroit, and he could just never do it. And now he's on the Lake Show getting it. So good for you,
Might
KCP.
be his time.
Maybe, yeah, show me wrong, KCP. Anything else, boys? Wrap it up. Tidy little Wednesday night.
No,
Bobby, anything else from the bubble?
No, I was kind of disappointed. We're trying to quarantine the NBA, and then my friends Daniel Jones, Cameron, and Odell are all being chummy and hanging out together. That wasn't – they get those guys to be more careful. But the bubble is good, ready to be on the bright lights on Fox Sports 1 next week for the scrimmages.
Don't forget your guy in the purple crop top in that picture. If someone knows who that is, let me know, because that's my new fashion icon.
Jake, Talkin Gangster real quick. Are you tired of these inter-squad scrimmages? I think I'm over them now, because I don't know how to feel when today we learn that James Paxton's going to pitch for us Saturday in Washington, the second game of the season. I hadn't seen him throw a ball. I saw pictures of him throw a ball, but I hadn't seen him in an inter-squad scrimmage. And then we come out, we turn this on today at 5, and Judge takes him deep. Giancarlo takes him deep. And I'm like, yeah, but then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wait, no, this is our number 2 pitcher. This isn't good.
It was good.
He was practicing. He was just getting some stuff right.
Yeah, you just have to go deep.
The first inning.
You just have to go fan zone. You go, hey, Paxton's back on the mound. That's great. Judge is out there. He hit a home run. That's great. And Stanway here. Everything's great. But
was it all in the first inning?
It was all in the
Yeah,
first
and
inning.
we know
First inning
about
First
Paxton.
inning Paxton, guys.
Yep.
First inning Paxton.
I
So,
used to hate that shit watching him in the first inning.
by the way, boys, when this
predictable.
drops tomorrow, we will be 1 week away from Major League games that matter. So we've almost made it through the storm, and if you've been coming through the storm with us, we appreciate it. If you could leave a 5-star review, Bobby Bubbles, Dak of all trades, Jake sucks, 5 stars, anything, we appreciate you, and we're excited to start actually talking live sports, baby. Let's go.